Deep in the Siberian taiga, where the snow never melts and the night lasts for months, stood a small, forgotten village named Troshchinovo. The people who lived there seemed forgotten not only by time, but also by civilization. Their lives were simple, but full of superstitions and fears. Their greatest fear was a witch named Alina. Alina lived in a remote cabin deep within the forest. Her house was surrounded by dense, dark trees, and the path leading to it was filled with ominous shadows and unknown sounds. No one from the village went there willingly, as it was known that Alina communicated with evil spirits and despised everyone around her. Village children were raised with tales about Alina to keep them indoors at night and away from the forest. One cold winter night, when the moon shone bright yet cold, a young man named Peter decided it was time to learn the truth about Alina. His courage was driven not by curiosity, but by an inner doubt that all the tales were just old superstitions. He dressed warmly, took a flashlight, and quietly left his home, determined to reach Alina's cabin. Walking through the forest, Peter felt an indescribable atmosphere surrounding him. The trees, almost alive, seemed to be watching him. Every crack of a twig, every whisper of the wind heightened his fear, but he did not turn back. Finally, he reached Alina's house. The cabin looked old and abandoned, but a faint light shone from inside. Peter approached the door and knocked lightly. The door opened with a loud creak, and there stood Alina. She was tall and thin, with eyes that seemed to see everything. Her face was etched with wrinkles, and her hair was long and gray. She looked at Peter and quietly said, "Who are you, and what do you want here?" Peter spoke with a trembling voice. "I am Peter from Troshchinovo. I want to know the truth about you." Alina smiled a cold, emotionless smile and let him in. The inside of the cabin was filled with old objects, mysterious symbols, and strange, unknown plants. Alina offered Peter a seat at the table and began to tell her story. She spoke of ancient spells, the spirit world, and how she became a witch. But the more she talked, the more uneasy Peter felt. He began to realize that Alina not only communicated with evil spirits, but was also a part of them. Her words were like spells, penetrating his mind and soul. He tried to stand and leave, but his body no longer obeyed him. Alina approached him and whispered, "You are mine now. You wanted the truth, and here it is." Peter felt something cold and vile invade his body. His vision blurred, and his consciousness began to fade. The last thing he saw was Alina's smile, a terrifying, triumphant smile. The next morning, the villagers of Troshchinovo noticed that Peter was missing. They searched the forest but found no trace of him. Only the old Agafia, the village elder, said, "Alina took him. He is no longer with us." From that day on, the village grew even quieter, and the fear of Alina grew deeper. The people understood that some secrets are better left undiscovered, and some creatures better left unseen. The forest of Troshchinovo remained silent, but its shadows forever concealed the terrifying truth about the witch and her victims.